but my main memory, I suppose, really is the remembrance service. And I always seem to go to that with him.
Oh, so, absolutely. I think the two key memories that I have, Father and the Memorial Park, are firstly Remembrance Sunday, whether that was a bright sunny day or whether it was a dank November occasion, and particularly the silence, the 2-minute silence. I particularly remember that.
And standing still.
Absolutely. And
he always looked so smart, didn't he?
He always looked smart. Yes. He always looked smart wherever he went.
But he looked really smart on that day.
He would probably think we were dressed far too casually for this occasion.
Yes. I remember it being a big thing. When we used to call it Poppy Day, didn't we?
We did.
Well, I did. And it was a big thing. It was part of the year, and it was a bit like Christmas in a way. That's what you did. And you went and you stood still, and there was lots of people around, and I knew it was very important to Father.
I was 7 when I first went to a service that I remember going, and even then I knew it was important to him because, of course, his brother being killed in action in Burma in 1945 had an absolutely fundamental effect on him and the family, even though, of course, he'd served in the Navy. It was still clearly a very raw experience for him, and of course it wasn't that long.
Well, it wasn't, was it? As children,
yes,
as children, we thought it was a long time ago.
Yeah. We thought it was ages, and for him it was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also remember when we were there, all the people that had served in the Second World War. They were there with their medals and their berries, and there were people there. I remember Father pointed them out that had served in the Great War. And even a few people that had served in colonial campaigns in Queen Victoria's time, they too were there. So these people were serving in the army, in the certainly the middle 1890s, and they were there on parade. Well, I do remember him pointing that out, so I remember that. And of course, my other memory of Father in the Memorial Park, apart from the very serious and special occasion of Remembrance Sunday, was when he used to take us around the park and point out why all the trees were there then, because of memories of people who had died or been killed in the Great War and the Second World War, both serving in the armed forces and those people who had died as civilians in German air raids during the war. And particularly Hugh's tree, which was by the sports pavilion. It was a rowan tree that had been arranged by his father, Dan, in memory of Hugh. And I remember we always, if we were walking round the park together, we would always go, as memory takes me back, to Hugh's tree. And of course, once Father passed away, and we visited Hugh's tree, we found it in a position which it wasn't doing too well. That rowan tree was part of it.
It had its day.
Yeah, had its day. And we were fortunate enough to make arrangements to replace it with a new tree in 2011, I think. And of course, what's particularly poignant, of course, it's very close to the cenotaph, probably near enough where Father and I and you used to stand all those years ago.
Yes, I would say that having visited the bench, I would say definitely about where we would have been standing. And you can sit on the bench and look across the path, and there is the tree. And somehow it's very comforting to think that Father and his brother Hugh have come together in a way, because it's so close. So I think Father would love the idea of the bench and Hugh's tree being so close together. I can see Father sitting on that bench, can't you? Because he loved a bench.
Oh, he loved the bench.
He loved to sit on a bench, didn't he? Especially in latter years, and watch the world go by, and enjoy seeing other people, enjoy seeing the children playing and everything. And you know, he used to sit on a bench in our garden here, and I think he'd be delighted to have that bench and in that position near to the war memorial. But no, I think it's lovely that there's the bench and the tree close together. It would mean a lot to Father. I'm sure it would mean a lot to Hugh, because we never met him. We didn't know our uncle, did we?
No.
And it's just very comforting to think that that bench tree's there, almost side by side. And
that's a very interesting point, because the one thing I never really asked Father is what his experiences were of being a child in the Memorial Park. You know, he was born in 1927. They lived in Parkside, which isn't that far from the Memorial Park. And I often wonder whether he too walked the ground when he was our age.
No, I agree with you. I don't have any memories of him talking about it, but he must have gone there.
Yeah, I mean, I know Mother, of course, had lots of experiences when she was a child in the Memorial Park. And I often wonder whether, Father as a small child, passed Mother one day as they too were walking.
Yes, yeah. But I think the fact that he did live so close, and it was a brand new park, wasn't it? And
it was. I'm sure they must have.
You know, why wouldn't you? But when you think of Mother spent so much time there as a child, and so did you and I. It was the backdrop to our lives, the park, wasn't it?
And I suppose the other thing I'd like to ask you is, whilst we put the bench by Hugh's tree, he's probably wondering, well, they never gave much thought to putting it next to a rugby pitch. Because, I too used to play for old conventions on the Memorial Park pitch. So I was wondering whether Father would probably like another bench pitch close to the rugby.
Yeah, but yes, to keep an eye on the game.
Rugby, he used to play hard and watch it hard too. And I often wonder whether an extra bench there would have suited him rather well.
Yes, it probably would actually. Yeah. Yes. And I think the other thing I like about it is the fact that, we can go there and see the bench, see the tree and all that sort of thing. And it's just almost like having Father there. You sit on the bench and, think about him. But it's just great that other people use the bench. Other people will sit on it, and they might look at the plaque and go, "Oh, Clement Maginniss. Wonder what kind of chap he was." But other people from Coventry and beyond will use that bench, or sit under the tree, or children will run around the tree. And it's just somehow very comforting that people of Coventry will continue to do that, even though they didn't know Father and Father didn't know them. It's just the continuity that I think is wonderful.